Let's transition and let's go to the AFC East, arguably the best division in the NFL. The AFC East plays the AFC West and the NFC East this season. Obviously, last year the Bills won the AFC East with a 13-3 record. Dolphins made the playoffs with a 9-8 record. The Patriots finished 8-9, and the Jets finished 7-10. This year, the Bills are expected to win the division. They are a plus 125. The Jets are a plus 270. The Dolphins are a plus 300, and the Patriots are plus 900 to win the AFC East. So, let's start off with the Buffalo Bills. Last year, the Buffalo Bills finished 13-3, but they had an embarrassing home playoff loss to the Bengals. And for whatever reason, the Bills seem to be going backwards. Remember, they lost in the AFC Championship game against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but that was a game in which the Bills played well. And Josh Allen played well enough to win that game. He went throw for throw with Patrick Mahomes in that AFC Championship game, but Patrick Mahomes just made one more play than Josh Allen. But the Bills have been going backwards ever since then. They had a horrible, horrible home playoff loss last year to the Cincinnati Bengals. And all season long, it's two things that I was hearing last year. Two things. One, the Buffalo Bills are better than the Cincinnati Bengals, despite the Bengals making the Super Bowl the year prior. And I also heard that Josh Allen was better than Joe Burrow, despite Joe Burrow leading the Bengals to the Super Bowl, and Josh Allen's Bills went home earlier in the postseason. And so, for whatever reason, though, the media and people who cover the NFL, they said that the Bills were better than the Bengals and Josh Allen was better than Joe Burrow. And one afternoon in Buffalo last year proved all of those people wrong, because Joe Burrow outperformed Josh Allen, and the Bengals dominated the Bills. The game wasn't close. I know the score was 27-10, but really the Bengals could have beaten the Bills that afternoon 40-10. The Bengals could have won by more. So I feel like when I look at the Buffalo Bills, and I don't know about the Bills this year, like I know they still got Josh Allen as their quarterback. And obviously Josh Allen is one of the best young quarterbacks that we have in the NFL. But he turned the ball over a lot last year. He had a lot of turnovers last year. And I also look at the running back room for the Bills. Who is their reliable running back to rely on to take some pressure off of Josh Allen? Josh Allen runs the football way too much to me. Way too much. At least Joe Burrow has Joe Mixon. Justin Herbert has Austin Eckler. Okay? Who does Josh Allen have to hand the football off to, who he can rely on to be effective in this Bills offense? This is one of the reasons why I feel like the Bills made a mistake not trading for Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor would have been a perfect fit in this Buffalo Bills system. And he would have helped the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs this upcoming season. He would have helped them. But their running back room is James Cook, Damian Harris, Latavius Murray, who's old and washed up. Give me a break. Now, obviously, they still got Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. But Stephon Diggs, real quick, we've heard about Stephon Diggs being frustrated in Buffalo. Stephen A. reported on First Take a few weeks ago how Stephon Diggs feels like the Bills' window has passed, and he quietly wants out of Buffalo. This is what Stephen A. reported. And when Stephen A. speaks, I listen. Stephen A. ain't up there just making up stuff. But obviously, Stephon Diggs denied it, said there's no truth to it, and they move on. But this is Josh Allen on Stephon Diggs. This was on the Pat McAfee show. This is Josh Allen on Diggs. Quote, "Our communication's at an all-time high. Just understanding some of our concepts better, making sure that we're talking and have an open line of communication. I love playing with him. We're going to continue to grow and get better. And I think this is going to be our best year yet. That was Josh Allen on Stephon Diggs. And obviously, Stephon Diggs is one of the premier and elite receivers that we have in the NFL. Last year, he had 1,429 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns, and that led the NFL last year in receiving touchdowns and receiving yards. He's one of the best receivers that we have in the NFL, but he's not happy right now with the Buffalo Bills. And quietly, he believes that the Bills' Super Bowl window has closed. But we'll see. Obviously, to start the season, they're not going to have Von Miller. That's a loss for them that I don't know if they're going to be able to bounce back from. They did lose Tremaine Edmonds to the Bears. Tremaine Edmonds was their linebacker that they had last year. They lost him to the Bears in free agency. That's a big, big loss. And Tre'Davious White wasn't very good last year in their secondary. He wasn't good. Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, they're both older. So it's crazy because I think in order for the Bills to be successful, they're going to need Von Miller to elevate his game once he comes back. And he's getting older and up in age. But Von Miller is their best pass rusher. He really, really is. So I don't know about the Bills this year. I got my questions. Let's transition to the Jets. Obviously, the Jets finished 7-10 last year. They were 7-4 at one point. In their last 5 games, they couldn't score 20 or more points. But they did bring in Aaron Rodgers. And if you got Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, Aaron Rodgers will not struggle to score 20 or more points. It won't happen. Now, I know last year, Aaron Rodgers had his worst season of his career. 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 3,665 passing yards, completing 65% of his passes. Aaron Rodgers had the worst season of his career. But Aaron Rodgers is an upgrade over Mike White and Zach Wilson. So Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback for the New York Jets and his presence alone will give the Jets 3 more wins or 4 more wins in 2023 that they didn't have in 2022. They were 7-4. They were a playoff team at one point last year, and they lost their last 6 games. That won't happen under Aaron Rodgers. It won't. They did bring in Dalvin Cook in free agency. I love that pickup. I really, really do. And you look at their offense. In the backfield, you got Dalvin Cook. You got Breece Hall, who's going to be returning back from his injury. At receiver, you got Garrett Wilson, their number 1 receiver. And you got Alan Lazard and Mecole Hardman. I like their skill position players. They're not great, but they're good. I think Garrett Wilson has a chance to develop a relationship and chemistry with Aaron Rodgers the same way Devontae Adams developed a relationship with Aaron Rodgers and was successful in Green Bay. I think Garrett Wilson can do that with Aaron Rodgers in New York. But the biggest question for this Jets football team is going to be their offensive line. That's the biggest question. They got Dwayne Brown, but Dwayne Brown is up in age. He's getting older. They got Mekhi Becton at right tackle. I haven't seen much of Mekhi Becton. I need to see if Mekhi Becton can be an elite offensive lineman for the Jets. Okay? At center, you got Connor McGovern, and you got Lakeith Tomlinson at left tackle. Or left guard. I'm sorry, left guard. But the Jets' offensive line is their biggest issue on their football team. That's the biggest issue. Defensively, they got one of the best defenses in the NFL. Okay, you got Quinn Williams up front. You got Sauce Gardner in your secondary. You got C.J. Mosley, Adrian Amos, Carl Lawson. This Jets football team is loaded. They're loaded. But the biggest question about the Jets is their offensive line. And if the Jets can't protect Aaron Rodgers, they will not be a playoff team in the AFC. And here's the thing about the Jets. Their first 6 games, home against the Bills on Monday Night Football in week 1. Week 2, they're in Dallas. Week 3, they're home against the Patriots. Week 4, they're home against the Chiefs. Week 5, they are in Denver. And then week 6, they're home against the Eagles. The only wins that I see for sure that are wins for the Jets in their first 6 games is the Patriots and the Broncos. They could start off the season 2-4. And if you start out, if you start off the season 2-4 with Aaron Rodgers, it could be trouble for the Jets. It could be, but I do expect the Jets to play well, and it's going to be interesting because you look at the Packers' first 6 games. Packers are in Chicago, at Atlanta, home against the Saints, home against the Lions, at Raiders, at Broncos. If the Packers start off 4-2 and the Jets start off 2-4, conversations are going to be different, and those headlines in New York are going to be much different after 6 games in the season. If Jordan Love is 4-2 and Aaron Rodgers is 2-4, so that's going to be interesting. I don't know Robert Saleh. I don't know if he can coach. I still got my questions about Robert Saleh. Let's go to the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, the Miami Dolphins, they made the playoffs last year with a 9-8 record. Tua did not play in that playoff loss to the Bills. But I believe that offensively, the Dolphins are going to be one of the top 10 offenses in the NFL. You got Tyreek Hill. You got Jalen Waddle as your receivers. 2 receivers who had over 1,000 yards receiving last year. Okay? Obviously, Tua is your quarterback. 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions last year, 3,548 passing yards, completing 65% of his passes. The question for the Dolphins is going to be, can Tua stay healthy? If Tua can stay healthy, the Dolphins will be a playoff team in the AFC. If Tua is healthy. He missed 4 games during the regular season last year, and he missed the playoff game against the Bills. He went 8-5 in the games that he played in. And I thought last year he had one of the best seasons of his career. Tua played well last year. But can he stay healthy throughout a 17-game season? But another question for me is going to be that Dolphins running back room. They got Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., he's on IR. Okay, they got other players who are also injured. Devon Achane. I feel like the Dolphins need to run the football more. Run the football more so you don't need Tua to drop back the pass 35 or 40 times per game. If you can run the football with Mostert and Jeff Wilson, it can take some pressure off of Tua, and you don't need Tua to win games for you. Tua can be a game manager, and you can run the football and play some good defense and win games. So that running game has to be better for the Dolphins. Head coach Mike McDaniel, you have to create some running lanes for your running backs to be effective. That offensive line is average. They got Connor Williams at center. They got Robert Hunt at right guard, at right tackle. They got Austin Jackson, okay, Taron Armstead at left tackle. They got to be able to create some running lanes for those running backs, for them to be successful. But their defense is decent. They're going to get back Jalen Ramsey in December. He got injured earlier in the offseason. So we got to see what the Dolphins can do on defense. I don't think they have an elite defense. Obviously, the strength of their football team is their offense. But that defense, if they can be average, the offense is going to put up points with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So if that defense can be average, I feel like the Dolphins should win football games. Now let's go to the New England Patriots. The Patriots missed the playoffs last year, and Mac Jones is their quarterback. Now, last year, the worst mistake that Bill Belichick made was he didn't have a true offensive coordinator. He had Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as his offensive coordinator last year in New England. And I'm not a believer in Mac Jones, but I felt bad for Mac Jones last year because he didn't have competent offensive coordinators putting him in positions to be successful last year. Matt Patricia and Joe Judge are not offensive coordinators. They brought in Bill O'Brien, so Bill O'Brien will help them in that offensive room and help them better offensively from a play calling perspective. But I got questions about Mac Jones. I don't think Mac Jones is a franchise quarterback, but I also don't believe the Patriots put the right pieces around Mac Jones. And I'm going to give you an example. Earlier in the offseason, Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott were both free agents. The Patriots had an opportunity to sign Dalvin Cook. And Dalvin Cook is better than Ezekiel Elliott is right now, currently. And instead of signing Dalvin Cook, the Patriots settled for Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott is past his prime. Dalvin Cook is a better player today than Ezekiel Elliott is. And instead of getting Dalvin Cook, the Patriots settled for Ezekiel Elliott. And they still got Ramondre Stevenson at running back. But I don't even like their skill position players. Juju Smith-Schuster, he's not a true number one to me. Devontae Parker, Demario Douglas, Kendrick Bourne. I don't believe in their wide receiver room. I think their wide receiver room is as bad as the Atlanta Falcons wide receiver room is. I really, really do. Tight end, you got Hunter Henry. But I don't believe in the weapons that Mac Jones has on the offensive side of the ball. I don't believe in his weapons. And I look at their defense. Defensively, they'll be better. They always have a pretty good defense. But I don't have high expectations for the Patriots this year. And I think Robert Kraft is going to be looking at Bill Belichick this year and wondering, why have we not been the same since Tom Brady departed from New England? They haven't been the same since Tom Brady left New England. And in this division, with the talent that the Jets, Dolphins, and Bills have, I don't have high expectations for the Patriots. They'll be the last team in the AFC East in the standings. They'll be the last team for sure. But I'm going to be honest, this was the toughest division for me to predict. It was tough. I'm rolling with the Patriots at 4. At 3, I'm rolling with the Buffalo Bills. I got the Buffalo Bills at 3. At 2, I have the New York Jets at number 2. And I got the Miami Dolphins as the number 1 team in the AFC East. So I have Dolphins, Jets, Bills, Patriots in the AFC East. And those are my predictions for the AFC East division overall.